back on me home turf for now, with another monthly roundup where I touch on the best albums, EPs of the month. It's a bloody hot day today. It's bloody hot. So if I look a bit sweaty and a bit red, it's because it's friggin' boiling. Looking a bit sweaty and red out here. Looking a bit pinkish and salmonish, and a bit gammonish, and a bit crab-like. I'm running out of pink things. Are crabs even pink? I guess they're like red. As always, I like to just run down highlights, the best things I've heard across the past month, just in case, you know, you didn't watch the review or you didn't catch anything that I talked about before. And I always like to throw in maybe one, maybe two releases that I didn't review in full because, you know, they wouldn't get any views. But they also did come out in the past month that are worth your time. So it is worth touching on those kinds of releases. And I may as well start off with that one actually. Tomu DJ is an artist that is very impressive. They put out electronic music, more kind of like leaning towards like the ambient techno things. I saw like some genre tags for this, and one of them was footwork. I don't know if I caught any footwork. I don't know, maybe bits here and there, maybe influenced by footwork in places, but I wouldn't really say it's anything like that. But I was just intrigued to see that it got brought up. Definitely impressive though, definitely worth your time. And not one that I reviewed, but definitely an artist that I want to kind of keep my eye on, keep a lookout on, because this is good. Just want to speed run through some releases as well that weren't in this past month. There's actually quite a few because so many albums I just stumbled upon in August. I don't know if it's because I had more time, I was just a bit more eager to find new releases, but I found like loads, and I may as well just pile them all together here. We got Jaubi with Naths at Peace, one of the best albums I've heard all year, and definitely the best jazz album I've heard all year. We got Horsey with their debut album too, a really good release. Really great art rock stuff. I know it's a bit of a, you know, wish-washy genre label, but I think if you were wanting something a bit on the weirder side of rock music, art rock just kind of is a good umbrella term for that if you're wanting that kind of thing. And then of course Topaz Jones with his debut album. All debut albums actually. Yeah, I think these are all debut albums. Holy shit, really impressive debut albums, man. Topaz Jones out here with some really funky, rhythmic, fun soul kind of inspired hip hop with, you know, a bit of a tongue-in-cheek twist with his lyrics and the way he raps. But yeah, definitely check those three out, particularly Jaubi. Definitely onto something there with Jaubi. That is some really wonderful jazz. Now for the actual releases that came out in August though, I want to mention Tinashe. I did get kind of beat up in the comment section by some random person that's never commented on my videos before for not spelling not saying Tinashe's name correctly. I always thought it was Tenache, but it is Tinashe, so I do apologize for that. But you guys should never come to this channel for good pronunciations. I mean, I probably don't even say Jaubi correctly, and that's one of my favorite albums of the year. But yes, Tinashe is an R&B artist that really had a big start to her career, but she's one of those that just kind of like fizzled out with each release, and yet this is her best album. Like, this is her best album. This is the best one. Like, Bouncin' is a bouncing tune, and she is giving us some smoky R&B stuff as well, with a bit more of a pop flavor in places. This is good. Definitely a highlight for R&B for the year. Certainly want to mention Nas too, which I wasn't expecting because I did think King's Disease was pretty solid. Wasn't sure if it was Grammy winning worthy, but the Grammys probably gave it him because they hadn't given him anything at all before this. So I assume it was just more of like one of those Leonardo DiCaprio type awards late in their career. They've done so much for their field, give them an award because they deserve it, and Nas truly does deserve it. But honestly, King's Disease 2 is better. Sequels are hard to be better. It's hard to find sequels that are better than the first one. It's rare, but I think this one is way better. I really do. Some really good flows coming from him, some really good rhyming as well. Some of these tracks are really well written, honestly, really well written. And as well as that, He's just giving us some kind of modern type of rap. And it's kind of cool as well to see that an old head or an older person in the genre kind of embracing more modern trends in hip hop. He's not out here giving us like a Lil Uzi Vert song, don't get me wrong, he's not going that far in the modern direction, but he's definitely embracing a bit more of a contemporary sound. And usually most older rappers are just stuck in their ways and they'll never, you know, stray away from what they did. But I think King's Disease 2 is a good progression for Nas, honestly, really good. Pink Siifu, I think it's Siifu. I said Siifu in my review, but speaking of contemporary modern sounding hip hop albums, this is as internet's rap album-esque as you could get, if that's even a thing, because this guy is giving us some like abstract kind of hip hop, he's giving us some trap, he's giving us some like classic southern rap type stuff. He's all over the place and he's just amalgamating all the genre I guess exposures that he's had in his life and all of the influences that have just kind of culminated into who he is today. And it's way different to what he's done before, but honestly it's the best one I've heard. This is my favorite Pink Siifu album. I feel like it's a pretty easy front to back listen. There's a few tracks that I definitely would have cut off, but I think it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's fun at times and it's good. And also want to mention the Chvrches album, another sort of redemption artist for me. Used to kind of write them off, but I went back to some of their other stuff, actually rated it a bit more compared to what I did when they first came out, and this new album was a good sort of I guess cemented release for them. It kind of like cemented my thoughts on the band that they are actually really quite good. Was definitely harsh on them for a little while, but I don't think they deserve it. Actually, I think this album's really good. Some moments are a bit basic lyrically, like there could have been a bit more emphasis on the writing, but I think the emotion that Lauren Mayberry sells, backed with the really great synth pop backdrops and the dreamy instrumentation, just makes for a really good listen. So yeah, another good album from these guys. And finally, ending on an interesting way to end this segment. I usually pick an album that is my album of the month. Usually would just kind of, you know, go for one thing, but this time I'm gonna tie two releases, mostly because they're both EPs and I feel like they have been just in rotation equally as much as of late. And I also, another reason to do this as well is that I would just want to emphasize how good EPs have been in 2021. I think usually I bypass a lot of EPs and I just focus on the albums. But no, EPs have been killing it this year. There's loads of good ones. So with those reasons, wish-washy if you want to call it that, kind of put together my two releases of the month. My joint winner for this month is Voljum and Disclosure, which are two electronic-based EPs. I've been eating up a lot of electronic music as of late, for good reason too. When they're as good as this, you can't really deny them. Very different sides of the coin though, like it's two sides of the same coin, but they're very different. They're kind of like, it's like a cylinder, like the sides are pretty far apart, but they give you similar satisfactory feelings. Disclosure just giving us banger after banger on this EP. The energy just never slows down, and the irony is that their album last year was called Energy, and I felt like the energy wasn't constantly, you know, amped up the whole way through, but yet this EP is basically energy. It's what that album I think was meant to be. And Voljum is just some really animated, lively, elasticy, creative electronic music that is in places very, you know, bass driven, dubstep driven at points too, but it offers a bit more of a creative, quirkier side of the genre that I think fans of, like, you know, Igloo Ghost would really enjoy. I wouldn't say it's a direct comparison, but I feel like that kind of like squashy, creative, all over the place vibe that Igloo Ghost gives you would definitely impress listeners that love that kind of stuff. With this would definitely impress you. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I don't usually do that, but I just wanted to highlight how good these two EPs are. And honestly, they are the best releases I've been listening to in August, so it's not even a cheating thing. They just are the best ones. So yeah, thank you for watching as always. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on these releases. What's your favourites of the past month? Tell the pink boy in the comments, the pink boy me. Do have a good day. Subscribe if you haven't already as well, and goodbye.